Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Like we've got everyone here tonight. We've got Shannon, Mr. O'Keefe, Mr. Hart, and Mr. Hendrickson. I meant.
Oh, you read the list.
I was just going down the list. Sorry.
That one we're going to record. That's nice.
And yes. All right. Any changes to the agenda?
There is none.
No changes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Nicole. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comments. Do we have any?
Public comments tonight?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, rebel recognition.
8th grader Isaac Olson was the spelling bee champ for DGF. So congratulations to him. And robotics obviously did a very nice job with the state. So they won state and we go into worlds. And I had asked our wonderful guests here today, Kent and Joe, to elaborate a little bit more on that. So they'll probably talk a little bit about the robotics team, but kudos to them. In April is when they go to Houston. So they're doing some fundraising and some other planning with Katie and working through what's next for them and what that'll look like. So kudos to them. Oh, and I also had one from Tracy for the basketball tournament. She sent this here last week. Rebel recognition from Community Ed. Thank you so much for all the players, coaches, parents, custodial services, food service, and other volunteers for helping with the DGF Community Education Winter Blast Basketball Tournament on February 3rd. Your help made the difference in hosting such a great event. There you go.
We've got a couple speech. DGF held the speech meeting same day, February 3rd. We had a very nice turnout. All the people did great, but it was a good tournament that was here. The one I played went to district state tied for second, it was a four-way tie for second, and so they lost out on the tiebreakers, but they did great. Knowledge Bowl placed first in a couple of tournaments, so first and second, I think, this last tournament, so they've been doing well.
And the first ever in the history of DGF 512 band concert was held next door, which actually
Yes.
was a pretty good crowd and went very well, I thought.
It was
I saw it on TV.
a very large crowd. Yeah.
When did speech have a tournament
Just
on Saturday?
Saturday. Yeah.
I was told they placed second.
Oh, it's a team.
It's a team, yep. They placed second.
Lots of people are doing well. Anybody else?
Girls basketball's been rounding off some nice wins, so kudos to those hardworking girls and coaches. So nice job.
I think we got six.
Wrestling
is number one seed. And
So
I think our girls basketball actually host the game next week, right? I think we host.
They should. They should.
Or we don't know officially yet.
But wrestling will be hosting.
Yeah, wrestling we host this week, right?
Thursday.
Team sections for the first time.
Yeah.
Because
And
we're
then
right
also the individual on that
the
Friday.
week after.
The 23rd.
Yes. That's when we don't have school. Remember, we moved that on the calendar. So.
Just have to make bars.
So, yeah, lots of good things happening around it. All right, let's get to 6.1. DGF Middle School Report.
A few things going on in the middle school. First, with staffing and everything, we got Tara Thompson's on a maternity leave, so we got a long-term sub in there, and he is leaving on vacation for a month in April. So we just were able to find another sub for him for that full month, and she student taught this fall for us in Julie Bloom's room, so she's familiar with some of the students. She's been doing some other stuff, they've been familiar with the school and stuff, so as much consistency as we can have with subs in there, I think we're fortunate to get both of those in there. And then for our other position, with our medical lead there, we do have a long-term sub, and she's stepped up and she just took over the teaching here last week and towards the end of the week, and she's doing some STEM activities with the students and gonna do some career stuff with them as well. And then when we had Avid, she's pulled some of that curriculum from Dana Moffitt and using that. So I think our kids will get a good, smattering of a little bit of everything in there. So very fortunate that she came over, worked with the elementary school with Wayne and Brittany to get her over here, and their 6th grade team, especially Dana's provided curriculum and stuff. So it's been pretty smooth going with that. So yeah, it's nice to get that filled and not just having a sub this day and a sub that day. Now we don't have one for 3 days and stuff, so we're gonna have good consistency there. Our kids are gonna benefit from that, so. Appreciate everybody working with us to get that filled, because I know it left the elementary one short-handed too to bring over, but it really helped us out a lot. Coming up this week, we have that 7th grade compassion retreat that we've done here for many years. It'll be held on campus again, but that's Thursday. It's all day for the 7th grade, same format as they've had in the past. So, and Kim Wally and the 7th grade team have been working very hard to get that all organized for us. This spring, we are also going to pilot SEL curriculum. The counselors have been looking at some things. They've been working on a grant maybe for next year if that gets approved. But we're going to test some curriculum with that. We'll do it with a couple 5th grade sections, a 6th grade section, and 7th and 8th, and then we're just going to see how it goes. And hopefully that goes well, and we'll be able to do it 5, 12 years as well, because in high school, Joel will talk about that too. So we'll look at doing that this spring.
What is SEL?
Social emotional learning. And then also, our 8th grade counselor, Mike Wiskow, started doing like a homework help thing with a group of kids a couple days a week, and they come out of some of their elective classes that are way behind on their homework to try to help them get caught up and not just sit waiting back, but they flunk the class and go to summer school and try to get them some help in real time here. So it's been a lot of work for him, but it's going pretty well, and it's trying to get the kids motivated to get them to want to do it and stuff. But it's also part of it is making the connections with them too, and showing that there is, that we do care and want to do well and stuff. So he's been working at that. That's been going pretty well for us. Conferences next week, Tuesday and Thursday night. 5th and 6th grade have scheduled conferences with their parents. 7th and 8th grade, we went to a different model this year. We don't have actual in-house conferences, but we will be making parent contacts those nights, either phone call or email, and they'll be getting their list, and we'll each be trying to contact all the parents in each grade that way. And we do have a couple other things planned for grade level meetings and such, and we're working on space for next year, because I think we're gonna be adding a 5th grade section possibly, so we looked at rooms where we can move some people around to free up some space, and we'll be working on that as well, to clean some areas out to get that going. And then the other thing that we've been working on a lot, and it's got 3 or 4 thick models out there right now where we're looking at next year's schedule, and a lot of that depends on staffing, of course, what we're gonna have for staffing, when we can hire, those type of things. But one thing we wanted to do was make sure the kids got more quiet time again. We went to an every other day model, and we didn't like that, and teachers didn't like that either, so we're trying to resolve that issue, and I think we do have that resolved. And then also get them more band and choir time, because they're missing out on that as well. So looking at that while we're still trying to keep the electives and giving them choices and options there too, and not just having their full classes. So it's a work in progress, but I think we got a pretty good handle on it right now, where we want to go with it, so it's coming together.
Can kids currently take band and choir?
Yes.
Or do they pick?
No, they
Okay.
can take them, yeah, and they will be able to do that with the next schedule too, and they'll get that probably. I think we're looking at, they'll get that every day of the week next year too, instead of every other 3 days a week, what it is.
You're saying gym would be every day?
Correct. then 8th grade, they do some, we'll have the health unit in with the 8th grade as well. Right now, they're going to Phi Ed, and then they're going to band, and then they go, it's been, yeah. So we're gonna go back to where.
A lot about it for
Yeah.
a seventh grader.
Any other questions?
Can I ask about the retreat this Thursday?
Yeah.
Is that just on campus here?
Yeah, we bring in a speaker, he's motivational, teamwork type thing, he's done it for many years before I came, he's from West Fargo. He comes over, and then we have high school kids, I think there's 40 or 50 of them coming down, so we get them into small groups, and they do teamwork activities, bonding and stuff like that, and it's the whole day, they have lunch separate from the other kids, and they start right away at like 8:30 in the morning, and goes to like 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Is this the one that used to be at the church?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Then when we moved over here last year, we did it on the site here, so, yep, that's the one we used to have moved to church.
Any other questions?
Have you had, oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
Have you had any parent feedback about not having in-person conferences for 7th and 8th grade?
No, but that was something that we didn't think through very well either, because, our 5th and 6th graders are here, our 7th and 8th grade teachers, but then our specialists, do they come? Because they're doing both, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, so next year we are going back to conferences.
Okay.
Yep. And the 5th and 6th grade did a different model, they did student-led conferences, and it went really well this fall, and they're going to do it again this spring.
Cool.
And I think we're gonna bring that model to the 7th and 8th grade as well.
I heard positive feedback about that. I've not.
Yeah, I sat in on several of those last fall, and they were really good.
And the kids, I think, seem to really enjoy it.
Yeah,
The
well,
parents I
they
talked to.
try, and they get to show their work, what they've done, they have their PowerPoints up there and stuff, so yeah, it went well. So I think we'll bring that forward with the 7th and 8th grade for next year.
Thanks, Ken.
All right, 6.2, DGF High School report, Mr. O'Keefe.
It was the questions.
All right, destination schools come at a price, so I've got a pretty good list of what we've got going on, but I'll be brief. Tomorrow, kicking off a survey for the seniors, PCN survey, that's our positive community norms. We are starting the registration process, that'll really kick up in about 2 weeks. We're gonna use the time for the conferences to have our high school staff's gonna get together, we're gonna try to go grade level and department level, just to make sure we're on the same page with our course offerings and what we think we need to change or adjust for next year. Looking at schedules, Kenton mentioned it, schedules for just our campus as a whole, looking at high school with our lunch schedules, toying with going to split lunches, and shutting down campus versus leaving it open for maybe just seniors or juniors, so just kind of going through that. And then seeing if there's a way that we can match up the high school and the middle school, that way we don't get the traffic in the halls disrupting classes, because we do share a few different hallways. It's hasn't been awful, but just seeing if we can make that work. Open positions, currently we're looking at an ag position and a counselor position, I think is what we have out there now. And then we'll kind of reassess and see what happens in the next few months with that. Robotics, Shannon and Ken kind of touched on it. Huge shout out to the kids, but also with Katie, kind of got a lot of stuff thrown on her lap and she had to learn in a hurry. We had a meeting here last Monday where we met with the parents and I sat in on that. We've had a lot of outside groups, outside coaches. I think the Castleton coach was here and we had a couple people join us with a Google Meet that are helping out, which is actually pretty cool. So I think they've got a $15,000 goal that they're trying to reach, and I believe letters were sent today, just kind of asking for donations or kind of get the word out of what they're kind of doing. Also with robotics, that filled that void. I want to thank Yingvi is here. He stepped up and he's doing our esports now, so our kids, they're not missing a beat on that, and so he was able to jump into that and help us out, so we appreciate that too. Andrea's been doing a great job. She's already working on the graduation program. She's got that kind of dialed in a little bit. Now we're just monitoring to make sure everyone that has their name on the list will be shaking your hand. So that's always just, we'll get to that point. So We're gonna do the pre-ACT for ninth graders. This will be the first time that we do that, because we've noticed that we try to track them to see, all right, where did they misstep and where do we have flaws? Well, we don't have any data with that, so now we'll have a continuous stream, so we can kind of see the highs and lows of what's happening. So that'll happen during the MCA time when we do the MCA test. The SEL, the pilot. The reason for that, the high school, we meet every semester, we get a list of Fs, and there's 94 Fs total. And then the final push that week, and then we do final tests, and we get that dropped down, but we do the same thing every year. What can we do? We meet as a staff. Oh, they got Fs, okay, just give them the old. Well, nothing seems to change, so we want to pilot this to see, some of these students are dealing with a lot of things that maybe we're not equipped to, so we're trying to equip our staff so we can maybe meet these needs. And it's at least it's an effort on our part to try to do something different. We know our current way doesn't work. We've tried it for the last 20 years in a row. So let's try something different and see if we can maybe make a difference and break down a few barriers. Don't know if it'll work. I hope it's going to work. And we've got some staff, I think, that'll embrace this and jump on board. And it's worth a shot. Activities, we touched on it earlier, going well with wrestling, got the #1 seed. Girls basketball winning streak, and our boys are solid. Our fine arts were great if you're able to get the one-act play and the band concert. And dance season is over. But we've just had a lot going on. It's been a busy winter. Last two things, the ALP. I don't know yet on that. It's a real, I don't know, is it fiscally responsible? Are we doing the best that we can at it? We don't know yet. We'll look at the numbers. For some kids, it has been great. For some, there hasn't been much change. We're still seeing the same things that put them in that predicament. But we've helped out, quite a few kids. Actually, on the Friday when we're hosting wrestling, the 23rd, Mr. Boyd has got a couple appointments, and I might accompany him Friday morning. We don't have school, with Detroit Lakes and with Pura, just to see how are their rooms set up, because it's kind of it's blah. When you do something with an ALP, we need to do something different. Do we do a different kind of seating? Do we do something where maybe they look forward to the room rather than just, you try to teach kids that haven't been self-directed. Now you got to be self-directed otherwise. So we're constantly evolving. The last thing, I spoke to Shannon briefly on this. I'm not committed at all. I spoke to Shane, our trainer, who's deaf. He's not committed at all, but excited about it. I called Sanford to make sure there's no contract issues, but I approached Shane the other day and I asked him if he'd be interested in teaching a sign language class at the high school here. Two things, kids love him, he's here anyway, so why not throw him in a classroom? And it actually counts as a world language on the kids' transcripts too. So it would just be, I think, a pretty cool thing, a class or two. He's got a lot of connections with other people to teach it. Obviously, that's his world. So he was already kind of talking, I could do this, I could do this. And I go, well, you make sure it's okay. I'll make sure it's okay on a couple different fronts. Sanford was, he thought it was an amazing idea. He goes, I would love that, and yep, and of course I'll bring the news up here when the time comes if we make it happen. But it was just kind of neat. I mean, just why not? We've got an expert who's lived it his whole life. Why do we not utilize that? And give some kids, it's a little bit different, but I think it would be pretty neat. So I'm kind of working on that.
I took ASL in high school, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
And now, like, in my professional side, I know basically the alphabet and a few other things now, but it has helped me in my interactions with the public. On numerous occasions, people just look at me and I can spell, it takes me a whole lot longer, but it's something nice to be able to have in your back pocket and to be able to relate to people at a different level.
and we were nervous right away 12, 13 years ago when we first took him on as our, just, okay, how are we gonna, no, we figure it out. And he mentioned to me, he goes, yeah, if I do this, I'll give everybody earplugs. So now everyone's on the same playing field, so now they have to, and then you just, yeah, I think it's worth a shot, so.
I will say this, I had an experience with a student that went through this also at a previous school and has a phenomenal career as a signer. it's crazy, so it's another thing, so when Joe brought it up, I said, that's a great idea, because it's another thing, you know, somebody else picks it up or loves it, or has a relative that's affected by it, or who knows what, and pretty soon they get into it, and it can be a career, it really can, so, cool, it's awesome.
For our senior year, or for the graduation, there was always a graduation song that was chosen. And the ASL students came in and they signed the song for the parents. So
It's awesome.
coming from a bigger school, there was more people who were deaf, but.
Any other questions for Mr. O'Keefe?
I do, what are the goals for the conferences, for the high school, since there's not conferences, are they all assigned connecting with?
So it was sent
parents?
out today. We are waiting, Brittany's joining us tomorrow, she's gonna be in Glendon tomorrow, to finalize as far as what, you know, curriculum-wise and things like that they wanna do, so they don't have that, but yeah, it's basically not only aligning our departments and the grade level thing, but it's making parent contact, so we have pretty good feedback when, hey, I got an email, and even if it's a copy and paste type thing, you know, student X is doing great in class, it's like, well, how many are we supposed to, well, you've got plenty of time, so it doesn't take too long to reach out to everyone in your class, so that's kind of the main goal, is just to make that contact to the parent, and then we've got some other underlining things that we need to internally with the curriculum coming up in the certain subjects and things like that to get on the same page, so.
Assuming kids who are struggling will be, parents will be
You
contacted.
would hope, and I haven't been blasted because they haven't, so I reiterate that, they should be reaching out if there's ever any issues, or students are getting referred to us constantly, we have our SAT meetings and things like that, where we look at interventions, you know, it's an ongoing process, so.
Is there a threshold where they are like expected to contact the parents? Like, is it a C minus, a D plus? Do we wait just till, you talked about meeting them when, or addressing the Fs, but are we addressing them prior to them hitting an F?
That's a great question. There's not a threshold set forth by me, I guess, and there probably could be. It's you know, you kind of leave it pretty generic where, all right, if a student's struggling, hey, we're gonna get them help and reach out and do that, but I guess I couldn't put my thumb on it. Say, all right, you know, Nicole's called me, you know, it's got a D, so we've gotta make sure. So, no, that's a good one.
And then like with the when you're looking at the Fs or looking at the Ds, do you look at the trends as far as like if our students are struggling in reading or math, or if it's a specific teacher, or are you guys looking at trends and
Look at all that.
connections and
Yeah.
like that?
Yep, and you look at grade too. So we see a lot of our freshmen come in and it's just a different world, so that tends to be a lot of it, but yeah, if it's, hey, all these kids that have Fs and it's in a certain class, okay, what are we doing in that class? And that raises eyebrows, and you have the visit, say, what are we doing, and how can we change this up, or and then not luckily, but the last one, it was, a lot of it's all across the board. You can tell the ones that, all right, we don't like, you know, foreign language, or we don't like the math, and we don't struggle in English. Then you cross-check it and say, okay, this kid's got 7 of them. Well, it's not that he can't do it. I'm not doing anything. How do we reach this kid? If you got 1 or 2, and then we look at how close are they? All right, they're in the 50s, so they're not too far off, or they're at 20%. Well, that's just a lack of effort. What's going on? We cross-check it with their attendance, and we do those reports too. So it's kind of a lot that goes into it, but you can tell the tougher classes versus the not as tough classes. You know, and it's different too with a core subject compared to maybe like a choir class where you're not doing the daily stuff. So
I just didn't know if, like, if you looked at the 8th grade social studies, if everybody got A's and then they come to the high school and then they tank, you know what I mean? Like, just like the changes in teachers and.
more so than that, we'll look at more, you know, that's more their testing scores too. We'll see that trend line rather than grade by grade. I mean, we can do both, but kind of get an idea of where's the drop, and then you go, okay, what was the consensus? Was it a tough test this year? What was the state average? And then how did we, okay, where did we slip? So it's like when we'd really like a data day, you know, where you sit down and you go through all that. It takes time, but there's a lot out there.
The good news in regards to the data is that that's part of what Brittany's job is going to be as their district curriculum coordinator. Her and I set that up when we created the position. because they said you need to have a data team, and they need to be looking at all this data, whether it's elementary, middle school, or high school, and then aligning so our curriculum is aligned, and then what are our red flags if it's a certain class, it's a certain teacher, it's a certain subject area. All that data will show you all that, and then we need to make adjustments so these guys can work with their staff to make changes if we need it. That is on the docket for next year, just because this is their first year doing everything else, but it's exactly what we need to do. It's because then these guys, it's something done on purpose again, right? And so then you can go back to that and say, okay, that's next.
And we have gaps in curriculum too.
For
It's
sure.
like, all right, we go from 5 through 12 building, but yet if they've got a couple of different curriculums built in there, well now, let's get that all on the same page too, so.
For sure.
Any other questions for Mr. O'Keefe?
Sorry, with you.
They got a little scoreboard.
Thank you, Joe.
Nice work.
All right, on 6.3, board committee reports, policies.
I think we touched on policy last time. There's not much new to report. You know, we met and most everything is verbiage and statute changes, so.
Yeah, the only one that we were gonna talk about, I was gonna have Eileen look at the transportation one because there were some changes with the drug testing for our bus contractors, but she has all that. So when we approved this, she said the document was fine and it fit from their testing group. So once this gets approved, I'm giving it to them, or to her, I should say, because she's gonna make sure that our contractors have that up-to-date language in their books or in their handbooks that they share with their staff. So their drivers know what to expect, so, yep.
And I think that there was an addition to, I don't remember what number it was, but that paraprofessionals get 8 hours of paid training.
Oh,
Or
that,
or PD, or orientation it was called.
yep, that was required, I think, in the last legislation, and then so it's in
I
here.
think that's the only addition to any of these though.
Yeah,
The rest
I
of it
think
just
you're
like
right. I
Avery
think it was
said.
pretty much the same stuff otherwise, yeah. Thank you.
Great. Any other committee reports? All right, on 6.4, superintendent reports.
Yeah, mine's short and sweet because I knew Ken and Joe were here, so they'd probably cover everything, so. Foundations, we had a foundation meeting. Oh, I just lost it, February.
January 31st.
January 31st, was that what it was? Brittany and Lindsay were there, yeah, okay. Well attended, had a nice group here, had great discussion, left the meeting with that group saying, hey, let's meet again, we want to keep this going, there's a lot to it. And so this first meeting was just more of a discussion about, hey, here's what we're thinking, here's some timelines, here's kind of what's next, what does everybody think? I've had some emails from a few of the people that attended that said, hey, this is great. I'm excited to be a part of it. Don't know if I want to be a board member, but I definitely want to help with moving forward. And who knows, I might, be interested at being a board member down the road. Our next meeting is March 6th. It's gonna be a little bit more of a working session than a discussion. It's gonna be plenty of discussion still, because it's only the second one. But it's to be more pointed on, okay, if we're gonna become a 501c3, what do we got, what's next? So we gotta get that ball rolling. There's some of these hoops, I guess, if you will, that we need to get started because they take some time, right? And so that's what the next meeting is gonna be about. We're just gonna keep growing and get it more dialed in. And when this group feels ready, like I said, I don't wanna be in the front of this room because it's not about me, it's about this group eventually. It's just let's kind of get it momentum. And let's run with it. Very fortunate to have some people in the room that have experience with foundations, so they kind of know how they operate and this and that. So those are some of the correspondence I've had since that meeting. That just makes it more efficient as we move forward to get farther along faster. So, yeah, very good. So March 6th is the next meeting. Meet and confer, I just have that on there because it was on our school board agenda, or I'm sorry, a schedule for the year. You'll see it's on there, I think, 3 times. It needs to be scheduled that way, or is it 4 times, 3 or 4? They're all on there, but I talked to the co-presidents and they said, well, we meet with you monthly, so we don't need to do that. I said, if there's ever a time where you need to, make sure you let me know, and at our monthly meeting, we'll make sure that they can come to the board or have a meeting with you guys. But they said, well, that's why we meet with you. And I said, that's the whole concept, is I should be in touch with our staff. And that's what we're doing right now. So they said it's working very well. Robotics, I think we've heard a lot about that. It's just kind of keep your eyes open, ears open, whatever, to what's coming next for them and what are some of the events we can help with. So as board members too, look for opportunity to support them if we can. I guess it's, those students have really stepped up, and I say really stepped up because they really have stepped up. That group has taken a lot of pride in what they're doing, and it's fun to watch. I had a little meet and greet after school one day with them. Katie and I met with them as a group of kids, and I just asked them, 100 questions, because it's fun to ask kids questions, and they would just light up and talk about it, right? They're just so passionate about it. Everybody's got their thing they like, right? And you can see right away when they light up, and these kids were just, they couldn't wait to talk and answer the questions and go to the next part and what they're doing next. And I said, one of the neatest skills for me, listening to them, that they've learned, and some adults don't learn until later in life and they don't manage it very well, is failure. Building that robot, I said, how many times did that thing fail? Just think about it, they just got all this stuff. We gotta have it do this, so let's make this, and that didn't work, and then that didn't work, and that didn't work as good as we thought. I mean, it's constant failure. And then adjusting, problem solving, redoing. And I said, there's so many people in our world today that struggle with failure. Small failures, big failures, whatever, it's how you look at it, it's how you perceive it. And I said, just listening to you guys, you support each other, you redo it, you just tear it apart, you do it again, whatever. It's just, it's an important life skill that we sometimes overlook, that these different activities can provide. So, yeah, it was just fun to listen to them, I guess, so. And because everything else has been shared tonight, that's all I got. Unless you guys have questions for me.
Okay, go on to 7.1. Approve the minutes from the last meeting. Do I have a motion? Motion by Nicole, do I have a second? Second by Laura. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion. Go on to 8.1. This is a motion for the consent agenda. Approve the bills for February, treasurer's monthly budget report, which has been in your packet. Approve the resignation of Bryce Young, custodian, effective February 16th, 2024. Approve the donation from Mid-States Wireless, the amount of $200 for the DGF Robotics. Approve the donation from Sally Ahonen in the amount of $50 for DGF Robotics. And approve the donation from Nelson Insurance in the amount of $200 for the DGF FFA. Also in your packet was fundraisers as presented. Do we have a motion? Motion by Nicole, I have a second. Oh, we did go over the actual amount of the bills.
My turn.
Yes, sorry, Brittany, that's my fault.
$205,922.50.
All right, are you still good with your motion, Nicole?
Yes.
All right, do I have a second? Sarah?
I'll second.
Second by Brittany. Any questions, discussion?
You'll see the budget is at 49.5, and at this time, we're supposed to be at 50%. So it's a little tighter than in the past, but remember, we also have an enrollment number with our projection at 1525, and we'll talk about it in our budget committee after this meeting, that we're at 1571, so, yeah. So that gives us a little buffer there in our budget. Just want to make sure you knew that. We're getting tight there, you would say, and we are 0.5% is about 90,000. But with that buffer of those students, it'll make a significant difference. Or it should.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 9.1. This is for a motion for the approval of second reading of the following policies: superintendent selection, superintendent contract, duties evaluation, 305 policy implementation, 306 administrative code of ethics, 401 equal employment opportunity, 402 disability non-discrimination policy, 403 discipline, suspension, dismissal of school district employees, 404 employment background checks. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Amy. Any discussion? I think we already talked a little bit about this. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign, motion carries. 9.2, this is for the first and only reading of the following policies. 410, family and medical leave policy, 416, drug, alcohol, and cannabis testing form, 506, student discipline, and 606.5, library materials form. Do I have a motion? Motion by Brittany. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Mike. Any discussion on this? Talk about it. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On to 9.3, this is a resolution directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions and reasons. So this is something we do every year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay, or
Amy.
Motion by Amy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Nicole. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Can I do a roll call?
Oh, we're gonna do a roll call. We should probably read the resolution.
Not Laura.
Shoot.
Yeah.
We're all learning.
Yeah.
Okay. So Amy, do I just read like big bold?
Mhm.
And then, okay. Resolution directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs, positions, and reasons. Therefore, whereas the financial condition of the school district dictates that the school board must reduce expenditures immediately, and whereas this reduction in expenditure must include discontinuance of positions and discontinuance or curtailment of programs, and whereas a determination must be made as to which teachers' contracts must be terminated and not renewed, and which teachers may be placed on unrequested leave of absence without pay or benefits, and affecting discontinuance of positions. Be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District number 2164 as follows, that the school board hereby directs the superintendent of schools and administration to consider the discontinuance of programs and positions to effectuate economies in the school district and reduce expenditures, and make recommendations to the school board for the discontinuance of programs, curtailment of programs, discontinuance of positions, or curtailment of positions. Yep.
So now having heard that, is there any questions or discussion? It's something we do every year. We have to do it in order to be able to do the things.
Changes if we can do it.
Hearing any questions or discussion, we'll do a roll call. Brittany?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Laura?
Aye.
Me? Aye.
Aye.
Amy? Lindsay?
Aye.
Micah? Aye. Resolution passes. All right, on to 9.4, the school calendar. You should all receive this in your packet as well. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mike. I don't know, any questions or discussions? on
Yeah,
that?
just so I can clarify for you guys a little bit, obviously, I met with the co-presidents. We did send it to the entire district. You guys probably saw it too. And we did get the responses. This was the one that won by quite a bit. One thing that's different on this, if you notice, we have one less staff development day, but it's, when you look at it, it looks actually like there's more because these asterisks in November 6th, you can see that one. January 8th, March 5th, and April 30th, those are all after school. Some schools take a half a day, and so parents have to make the adjustments, not the teachers. And I said it would be nice if we did it after school, so we'll do it for a couple hours after school for 4 different times to make up that day, and then it's the same schedule for parents, the same bus for parents, same everything for parents. And just visiting with the co-presidents and the votes, obviously they thought it was a good idea too, so that was nice. So one of our staff development days will be spread out over the course of the year. One of the things that happens, sometimes you get some training at the beginning of the year and then you don't talk about it again, you don't have any time to do it. This gives us time to revisit some of that, if it's some ongoing training throughout the year, and there's some setup times. So as principals think, gosh, you know what, there's never enough time to meet, but we can't do data time. Or these are those types of opportunities, I guess, for staff to meet on purpose about certain things that they're encountering or needs that they have or special training maybe, so. There are makeup days on there. The makeup days are a little funky, and the reason I say that is 2 of them are in March. So the first one is in March, the second one's in March. The third one is then you go back to January 20th because the January 20th we really didn't want to use if we didn't have to. So we wanted to push those other 2 to March. You can see there's a long weekend in March. There's also a long weekend in April. Now, the March one could go away if we have storms, right? So just so you understand that, then it comes back to January. Well, January being in-service day, on the bottom there it says, if 121 is used, we're gonna go to, I'm sorry, if 421, 421 will then be a staff development day, and that's Easter Monday. So if we need to make up a day on January 20th, the staff development day will go to there, so. Otherwise, yeah, it's there.
Am I missing, what's the last day of school?
Last day of school for kids is the 28th of May. So they come back after Memorial Day. We had, the other calendar didn't have that, and then it got so jammed up here that it was, they didn't have any wiggle room. So that's why we gave that as an option, and this is what they voted on, so.
And then the March days are just like a spring break?
Yes, unless they're makeup days. Yep.
Unless-
Yep. The other calendar, if you remember, or maybe you guys should have seen it, that didn't have any days off in March. Because then we didn't have to come back after Memorial Day. So then some people said, okay, I get that, but it's still in May now with Memorial Day being earlier next year. So it's like, let's do that and have some time in March, or the potential for that. So,
I like,
Yeah.
that's a long time for kids to be.
yeah, March gets to be long, February, March, as we know, as we're coming into that now. But anyway, it's our first reading, so if other things come up, if you guys think of something, we can always visit again. But. Okay.
Any other questions, discussion? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries for the first reading. All right, 9.5, this is for a non-certified contract for Hannah for paraprofessional class 2, step 1, effective February 6th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Nicole, do I have a second? Second by Laura. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. 9.6, superintendent contract. This is for a superintendent contract from fiscal year 25 through fiscal year 2027. For Shan Huntston, superintendent. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Oh, go ahead, Amy.
Motion by Amy,
I'll second.
second by Lindsay. Any questions or discussions? I know we've sent this around and tried to do my best to explain it, and I apologize for over-explaining.
Well, and last week it came to us, that's why I went back to David, because last week MSBA sent out some language that mine didn't have, so I thought, well, we should probably throw that in there just because, right? It didn't really affect this one, I didn't think, but it's also it is important to have the latest from MSBA, just so you're covered in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think it made the contract better, so,
Thank you, David, for doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
oh, yeah. Any other questions or discussion?
Excited to have you back.
Haven't signed it yet, but. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Excited to have you back. 9.7, this is for a non-certified contract for Kylie Gildigan. This is for food service class 1, step 1, effective February 1st, 2024. Do I have a motion? Motion by Brittany. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Micah. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.8 is for a non-certified contract for Brittany LaRochelle, food service, class 1, step 3, effective January 30th, 2024. Do I have a motion? Motion by Laura. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by
Nicole.
Nicole, sorry. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 9.9, this is for a non-certified contract for Patrick Merriher, Transportation Class 2, Step 3, effective January 16th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion
Micah.
by Nicole. Micah, you want to second that?
Sure.
Micah seconds that. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 9.10, this is for the designation of Pemberton Law Firm in Fergus Falls, Minnesota as the official school district counsel attorneys for the remainder of the 2023-2024 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lindsay, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Micah.
I just want to add, Pemberton has presented at quite a few of our MSBA conferences. They're local, and had a conversation obviously recently with some things we're working through. And it's just quicker. It's just, yeah, it's local.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you know, we didn't have any official board action on the other firm that we used in the past. But I just thought it'd be nice. This way it lets you guys know too, kind of who I've been talking to, and this is all personnel issues, right? And school issues, school law stuff, so not the construction.
And they've got a long history of doing schoolwork.
They do.
And they've presented a lot at MSBA.
Yeah, they do.
Said on several years, so I think it's a good choice.
Anything else? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. 10.1, the next board meeting is set for Monday, February 26th at 6 p.m. in the community room here, followed by the personnel committee. 10.2, at the conclusion of the board meeting, same site. We'll adjourn at 6:40.